The prairie wind dragged dust across the horizon like a warning that never spoke aloud. The tavern squatted alone at the edge of the plains, wood warped by sun and sorrow, lantern light bleeding through grimy windows. Inside, the air was thick with whiskey, sweat, and old regrets. Elias Turner sat hunched at the bar, hands trembling around a chipped glass. His back was bent from 40 years of breaking land that never thanked him. The ranch was failing. The drought had taken most of the cattle. The bank would take the rest. Then the drifter walked in. Boots slow, hat low, coat dust-stained and road-worn. No name, no past anyone could prove. His eyes scanned the room like a man measuring coffins. The drifter bumped Elias hard, on purpose. "Watch it, old man," he said, voice calm, dangerous. Elias tried to apologize. He always did. But the drifter wanted more than words. The first punch shattered glass and dignity alike. Elias hit the floor. The tavern froze. Cowboys looked away, fear stronger than conscience. The drifter kept hitting him. Each blow echoed like thunder over empty land. Then the doors burst open. Cold air rushed in. Boots stopped hard on the floorboards. A woman's voice cut through the violence. "Enough!" She stood tall, dust-covered from the road, eyes sharp as broken flint. Beside her was a man astride the doorway's shadow. Henry, broad-shouldered, quiet, dangerous, in the way men who don't talk usually are. The drifter turned slowly and smiled, because this was only beginning. The ranch lay miles from the tavern, fences leaning like tired men. Henry rode ahead, silent, the prairie stretching endlessly around them. He hadn't planned to come back, not after what he'd done. But the past has a way of tracking a man better than any bounty hunter. Clara Turner watched her father breathe in shallow pain from the wagon bed. She blamed herself for leaving, for chasing a life beyond dust and debt, for not being there when the drifter came. Henry felt it too. The drifter's name reached them by nightfall. Cal Briggs. Gun for hire. Bank muscle. A man sent to break what wouldn't sell. The bank wanted the land, and Cal Briggs had been sent to make Elias Turner disappear, slowly, painfully, as a lesson to the rest of the prairie. When riders appeared on the ridge at sunset, Henry knew talking was over. Gunfire ripped through dusk. Horses screamed. Wood splintered. Henry moved like a man already dead, protecting Clara without saying her name. Between shots, glances lingered, something unspoken growing under fire. They survived. Barely. But Briggs rode away laughing. "You don't run from what's coming," he shouted. "You bury it, or it buries you." Henry stared after him. He knew which one it would be. Dawn broke red. The ranch stood quiet, too quiet. Clara loaded rifles with steady hands she didn't know she had. Elias watched from the porch, shame and pride wrestling in his eyes. Henry saddled his horse. "This ends today," he said. "Briggs came with men, the bank's men, guns and papers, claiming law where none lived." The standoff felt biblical, dust swirling, hearts pounding louder than hooves. When the shooting started, it was chaos. Henry faced Briggs in the open. Two men shaped by violence, one fighting for land, the other for nothing at all. The final shot echoed across the plains. Briggs fell. The bank riders fled. Silence returned. Clara reached Henry first. No words, just relief. Just something beginning where survival had ended. The land remained theirs, but the prairie remembered everything. And so would they. The prairie never celebrated victory. It only waited. 3 days after Cal Briggs was buried in hard ground with no marker, the wind returned, steady, relentless, carrying dust over the Turner Ranch as if trying to erase what had happened. Gunfire faded quickly out here. Consequences didn't. Henry stayed. That decision alone carried more weight than any bullet fired. At dawn, he repaired fences that cattle hadn't touched in months. At dusk, he sat on the porch steps sharpening a knife he hoped he wouldn't need again. The ranch felt like a fragile truce between survival and collapse, and everyone living on it knew the peace wouldn't last. Clara watched him from the doorway, more than she meant to. There was something unsettling about a man who worked without asking, who spoke only when necessary, whose eyes always measured distance between barns, between people, between past and present. She recognized it because she carried the same habit. Leaving had taught her that hope could be dangerous if you weren't careful. Elias noticed everything. "You don't owe us," he told Henry one evening, voice rough as split wood. "Men like you don't stay in one place." Henry didn't look up from the reins he was fixing. "Men like me don't get many chances to choose," he said. That night, riders appeared again on the horizon. Not charging, watching. Binoculars confirmed what Henry already felt in his bones. This wasn't vengeance. It was accounting. The bank hadn't lost interest. Briggs had only been a tool, and tools were easy to replace. The next threat came quietly. A letter arrived by courier, stamped clean and official. It claimed the ranch was in default. Taxes unpaid. Water rights disputed. Legal words sharp as knives. Written by men who never set foot on the land they owned on paper. Clara read it twice. Her hands shook the second time. "They're taking it," she said. "Without guns this time." Elias closed his eyes. "They always do." That night, Clara and Henry rode the perimeter together, checking fence. Lines under a sky crowded with stars. The silence between them felt heavier than conversation. When she finally spoke, her voice was careful. "You could still leave." Henry stopped his horse. "I know." She waited for him to go on. He didn't. Instead, he said, "I've been running since Kansas, since a town burned because I chose the wrong side of a fast decision." Clara didn't ask what he'd done. Out here, survival often came wrapped in guilt. "What happens if you stay?" she asked. Henry looked at the ranch, at the house, at her. "Then I stop running, and whatever finds me here." The next morning the riders returned, this time with badges. A federal marshal led them, polite, smiling deadly in a cleaner way. He read the foreclosure aloud while his men stood positioned like chess pieces. No shots fired, no raised voices, just inevitability. Henry stepped forward. "So that's it?" he asked. "A man works land his whole life and paper takes it?" The marshal met his gaze. "Law doesn't care about sweat." Clara felt something harden inside her. Leaving had once felt like freedom. Now it felt like surrender. She spoke before fear could stop her. "My father's land feeds 3 other ranches when the drought breaks," she said. "You take it and you starve half the valley." The marshal shrugged. "Not my concern." That night, Henry made a decision. Not a violent one, a dangerous one. He rode out alone before dawn, heading toward the rail town, toward records, witnesses, and men who remembered the fire in Kansas differently than the law had written it. If the bank wanted paper, Henry would answer with truth. And truth, he knew, could be deadlier than any gun if it reached the right hands. Clara watched him disappear into the dust, unsure whether she was watching a man leave or come home for the first time. The prairie held its breath again.